So let me just talk to you kind of what I think our Sonata's perspective is a bit unique in the sense that we look at platforms as really all these different technologies as platforms. And what's changed in the cloud world is really, it's not the old days where you bought a business application, you hired a firm, and then you stood up that application. In the cloud world, there's so many different dimensions as it relates to really properly taking advantage of digital technology. So you've got data elements, you've got security elements, you've got architecture elements, and you've got process elements, and you've got all these different things that you've got to deal with today. So for us, when we look at, and we'll talk a little bit about platformation, it's just kind of how we do what we do, because what we found in the modern, in particular the digital world, is that if you don't take the right steps and you don't approach things as truly from a platform perspective, many times you can have failed projects, or there's very little value to the business because of the fact that it's kind of compartmentalized. And so when you look at Power Platform here, you can absolutely consume it in its kind of four primary workloads, which is Power BI, which is data and analytics, which you could have a single reporting application across all your business applications, regardless of what those databases or data entities are. Power Apps these are Canvas apps or what I call model apps. So the ability to allow really end users to kind of build their own, kind of self-serve apps. But again, we recommend governance, and I'll talk a little bit about that, versus still giving that autonomy for people to own some of their own automation, but at the same time, making sure you have the right governance in place so that it ultimately is done properly and you get the biggest benefit from that. Power Automate, I talked about, this is really about, that enterprise process automation, but it's also about leveraging technologies like bot technology so that you can replace kind of low-level, low-value tasks that maybe an individual is doing, like keying into a certain data from one system into other, or even interacting with individuals on that customer side of things, and you're using bot technology as it relates to interacting and that virtual agent side of things. So is
that the same as like RPA, robotic process automation, that kind of thing?
Correct. And even things like looking at OCRing, scanned invoices, let's say, into a system, and automate that into an AP process so that you can streamline the vendor invoice kind of payment cycle.
Okay, so these are Microsoft products. So does Power? Sorry to ask, but does Power Automate? That's just for Microsoft products, right?
Correct. This is Microsoft Power Platform.
Can it automate things into other systems, other software?
Absolutely, and it is kind of more that model-driven approach. So when you look at kind of under the covers and how that's done, and how we used to kind of hard code things, when you kind of go to the bottom right here or the bottom left, and the two key components, which is data connectors and common data service. So data connectors, so I think there's over 200 different data connectors out there today. So, whether it be competing products like SAP and having connectors into the Power Platform that exists today, or some of the kind of main systems that are out there from a control and from a smart asset kind of connect perspective. So what does that mean to you as a person that would roll out Power Apps? Is that cost of building the integration is hugely mitigated because the fact that connectors are already pre-built, to allow that to happen. When you look at the common data service, to me, this is the most exciting piece of really Microsoft's Power Platform. This is the holy grail. I mean, this is what we talk about. I think the industry went through this cycle of, we're all going to go to one system, and you've got these massive ERP systems and the consolidation of the MRP and kind of into ERP, and you got one system that does it all, to realizing that the world doesn't work that way. And also the fact that as the industry has matured and as this whole digital wave has come through, is that how we deliver what we deliver, how we manage and operate even our own assets, it's a multi-thread ecosystem. So either we are dealing with different systems because of the fact that our control systems are different than our particular asset systems, that are different than purchasing systems, and so on. And so you're always going to have this kind of dynamic requirement. And so what the common data service allows us to do is create that common thread, common language between these systems, which is really as I say, the holy grail to really kind of getting through system integration or through digital platforms. If you don't have that piece, it becomes very difficult to actually create value for all your stakeholders, whether that be customers, employees, or your partners, And what it does from a data perspective is it relates to allowing us to kind of use data across those different applications, find insights across that, and then ultimately take action on that. It's unbelievable. And then obviously the AI builder. So I think what Microsoft's done a great job is that AI, on its own it's a bit of a heavy lift as it relates to knowing how to properly build different models and really mature your models as it relates to using data and intelligent data. AI Builder, I think that Microsoft has done a good job at pre-building kind of foundational elements, so kind of what I'll call quick start elements, so that you can start leveraging data insights very early and automatically plug in your data models that exist today and start having immediate learnings and then creating immediate action off those learnings. So when you look at the impact of a platform like this, going back to what I said before, whether you decide to start with a small little POC or our Power Apps and timesheets, or you really take what we're talking about as this platform approach, which is really saying, okay, we see this as our path to transformation. And it gives us time to really look at our legacy systems and understand and build strategies around how we're going to replace those. At the same time, we can start immediately getting insights through intelligence. We can immediately start modernizing our user experience through Power Apps or Canvas apps. We can immediately start taking manual processing and automating those. So we're just driving costs down, we're driving efficiency up. And then we can start using bots and things like virtual agents to really look at getting our people more focused on high value tasks. So it's a very compelling platform, make that transformation happen. We're seeing customers do it, and we'll talk a little bit about the different ways customers are doing it with the Power Platform.
Great. Yeah, I think we have a couple of case studies coming up. But what you're outlining here, Matt, it's pretty amazing, right? I guess the low code side of this says, if I need to patch a hole in the dam, I can do something fairly quickly. But what you're outlining here is this is an enterprise platform.
Correct. And I think the cool thing is that whether a CEO comes to us and says, hey, Matt and Sonata, I need help on a kind of all up transformation strategy. And in particular, we're looking at, implementing a tool like Power Platform, all that you see here. Can you help us with that? And then you have other cases where it's IT is wanting to modernize and they're struggling to really position with leadership and prove value of why these technologies are important to the business. So, it allows them to really take let's take the AP processing example. Everybody's got that pain. And we can take that as a simple use case, spin that up in a couple of weeks and be able to bring that back to the leadership and say, hey, here it is. It's tangible. Here's the results we're getting. And it's a very easy, consumable, high value use case that then validates going down this path. So we just couldn't do that before, which is what's so awesome about this technology.